Hey, Kelly Staggs here, American Irrigator, trying to make you a better irrigator. Today in this video, I'm going to show you just a few techniques and a few ways to do Teflon on your fittings when you're screwing them together. Let me show you something. Now what we've got here, I've got a bunch of stuff I've got to put together. But I thought I'd take the opportunity just to show you kind of how I do it and show you that just kind of some techniques that some guys have helped me. And then if you watch this and you think, oh, that's the complete wrong way to do it, please let me know, because I want to learn the right way to do it, because using Teflon on some of your threaded fittings is it's something I like to do. I've had the best luck with that. But it's kind of one of those questions, well, how many times do you go around? Or what's the best way to do it? And it's kind of one of those things that's out there that everybody's got their own opinion, everybody's got their own way of doing it, and which is actually the best, you know. And a lot of things I've learned from a few other guys, some plumbers, and then some of it's been just trial and error. So I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to show you how I do it, give you a few tips, and how I've had the best luck. But if you've got a better way to do it, please let me know, because one, I want to do it a better way, and two, I want to teach other people to do it a better way. But when you've got a threaded fitting, you can see the threads there, and this valve is threaded. So we're going to put some Teflon on this threaded male adapter, and then we're going to put it in there, screw it into the fitting. So I like to hold it in my left hand, which, you know, you're kind of flipped around backwards here. Grab it, and I grab the Teflon with my pinky and that ring finger there, and hold it on there, and then start wrapping it. When you wrap it, you want to wrap clockwise, to when you're tightening this fitting on, it's not gonna be unwrapping it. It's gonna be actually tightening it when you tighten this fitting on. So you want to go, because you're righty-tighty, right? So, but you want to go clockwise around this fitting. So for me, I'm right-handed, so it makes sense to hold it in my left hand and wrap it clockwise with my right hand. Now I've gone around, that's twice, 3, 4, 5. Typically what I do on this 1 inch, and you know, really up until about 2 inch. I might go 6 times on 2 inch, depending on, you know, what I'm doing. But going around 5 times seems to be, to me, what I've found to be the best amount of Teflon to get on there. And so I've got my Teflon on my fitting, and it's good, it's tight, it's wrapped on there, it's going the right direction. Now another tip you might want to think about is don't cover up that first initial thread, because sometimes when you glump too much, or you know, put too much Teflon right at the end, it's hard to get that fitting threaded in there right. So I try to come back just a little bit and leave enough of that thread open to where I can just thread it on there real good, because sometimes if you get it too much, it doesn't want to grab that first thread, and then it cross threads. Man, you got a problem after that. So you don't want to cross thread your fittings. But I've got my Teflon, I went around 5 times. I left that first thread, and you can even take your fingernail and kind of open it up so it grabs that first thread good. Got my valve, and sometimes I go backwards just to see if, you know, right when it clicks right there, right when it hits the spot that it's going to thread, and start threading it on there. Now first, the next question that everybody argues about, I feel like, or next thing is, how tight do you get this? First, you want to tighten it hand tight. You want to get it as tight as you can with your hands. Now I've done it that way and I stopped, but I've had problems with leaking, even with that much Teflon on there. So this is what I do, and I will say this is my disclaimer. I do not recommend you ever put pliers and tighten anything, okay? I don't recommend that. So if you do that and you see me do it, and you do it because I do it, and you come back and say, man, that's terrible, I messed up all my stuff, it's not my fault. It's gonna be actually your own fault. I'm sorry about it, but I don't recommend you putting pliers on this kind of stuff, and that's what everybody says. But unless you've got vice grip type hands and grip, which I used to, but I don't as much anymore because we've been doing this so long, I always give it I do give it a little bit of a tighten with some just some channel lock pliers. So I'll put it on there. Well, let me get the right length, right width here. This is what I do. Don't recommend this, because, and the reason I don't recommend, let me tell you this real quick. you can over tighten these fittings, and what happens is you'll either crack the fitting or you'll actually crack part of the valve, and then you'll have a major leak and everything. That's a problem. Replace the whole thing. You know, costs you and everybody else a lot of money. So that's why you want to be very careful. If you ever end up putting pliers to tighten something, you want to be extremely careful doing it. But what I'll do, I've already tightened it hand tight, and I'll tighten it just a little bit more. But I mean, I'm actually not putting much pressure on it. And so when it kind of gets close to the end, or where I feel like it's, you know, I've got it pretty good and tight, and I can actually still turn it, loosen it a little bit. So it's not, I mean, I didn't crank it down on there to where it stopped. You don't want to do that. It's when you're really running the risk of cracking something, breaking something. But I did actually put it on there. I went around maybe one time is all. But now that fitting's on there. I've got good Teflon, and I feel very good about this right here, that it's not going to leak. And so if I just left it hand tight, I'm telling you, after 15 years of doing this, your grip isn't quite what it used to be. So I can't get them as tight as I used to. So I have to now put a little bit of a, you know, maybe a little bit half, maybe a turn or something with some pliers to make sure I get it on there right, because I don't want this to leak. But you got to be very careful because you don't want it to crack. But that's how you do it. And so if I'm going to do the other one, I'm going to do it the same way. Grab my Teflon there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I usually do it real tight. Break it off there good. And I'll kind of put it on there like that. Get it on there tight. That's hand tight right there, but what I'm going to do is just make sure I've got that on there good. So, I mean, I feel good about that right there. That was maybe a one full turn, maybe a little bit more than over a full. But there you go. I've got my 2-threaded fitting, my male adapters on my valve. This valve is ready to go to be installed. Hope this helps you guys, and be good out there and work hard.